the South is full of history, and Charleston is at its center. Its marshlands carry a story, still being written. Before much of Charleston was a city, it was first water. When English settlers arrived along the Carolina coast in the late 1660s, they were guided north by members of the local Kiowa Native American tribe to land that was better suited for farming and protection.
In the beginning, the marshes were essential for the survival of indigenous people in this area. There were indigenous communities here because the marshes were the most productive ecosystem in the world in terms of life and biomass. So there was shrimp and redfish and oysters. When the English show up in the 1670s, literally right across the way from us at Charlestown Landing, we're right across from the original English settlement. They relied on the marshes in the beginning, but quickly they turned to how could they convert marshes to agricultural purposes and began to rip out the native ecosystem and plant it with rice.
By the early 18th century, rice began to dominate the low-country economy. This economic transformation reshaped the land. Rice plantations required the large-scale manipulation of water. Enslaved Africans were forced to clear wooded swamps and marshes, constructing vast hydrological systems of dams, dikes, and floodgates to flood and drain the rice fields in precise cycles. These engineered landscapes turned wetlands into engines of profit. To settlers, swamps were often viewed as dangerous places, associated with disease, bad air, and death. These perceptions helped justify the idea that wetlands were expendable and obstacles to be cleared or filled rather than systems to be protected. Marshes around the peninsula were gradually filled to expand buildable land. Low-lying wetlands became dumping grounds for garbage and debris.
What we now know as Gadsden Creek is actually 4 remaining acres of what was once a sprawling wetland area. So the creek is both a symbol or maybe a reminder of what used to be in this area. The creek was filled in over spanning for decades by the city of Charleston in their attempt to create more taxable real estate. And also they quite intentionally set out to displace what was once the most upwardly mobile and affluent African-American and Gullah community in Charleston at that time.
Contemporary Charleston, half of all of the peninsula is former marshland. They call it reclaimed land, but over 10,000 years since it's been land. It was wetlands, and they filled it and put homes and docks on it because they were all trying to get access to the deep water. And so where we flood in Charleston is the old creek beds and wetlands.
The filling of these wetlands transformed tidal systems into solid ground that could be built on, driven on, and taxed. The history is written into the land itself, shaping how the city floods, grows, and struggles today. This is a legacy that modern Charleston has inherited. From 2000 to 2022, Charleston County's population has risen by nearly 35%, creating huge demands for new housing developments that threaten marshlands. A prime example today is the Cainhoy Peninsula, which sits between Daniel Island and the Francis Marion National Forest, covering nearly 9,000 acres of largely undeveloped wetlands. Current development proposals would destroy hundreds of acres of wetlands, add around 45,000 new residents, and place 45% of homes directly in flood-prone areas. Wetlands aren't just empty land. They're some of our most efficient natural defenses against flooding and water pollution. Charleston County is even considering spending over $1 billion on a seawall, while simultaneously allowing the loss of one of its strongest natural protections. In response to this proposal, environmental groups have proposed alternative plans that protect more wetlands while still allowing much-needed housing. However, these plans were rejected by the housing developer. As of February 2026, those same environmental organizations are urging the city to reconsider the Canhoy development and update its planning process to reflect sea level rise, flood risk, and new marshland science. In Charleston, development isn't the only thing threatening our wetlands.
Well, today around the world is World Wetlands Day to honor the importance of wetlands for our lives. Something like half of all wetlands worldwide have been filled. We want to make sure that the other half are not filled because we realize how important they are. Just in the Lowcountry in Charleston and in the Carolinas, our salt marshes are the most productive ecosystem in the world in terms of biomass. If you want to live in what is quintessentially Charleston in the Lowcountry, you got to take care of the marshes. So that's why we're here. So that World Wetlands Day isn't just one day, it's every day you're here.
Wetlands, they mitigate tons of floodwater for us. They are carbon sinks. They are home to such incredible creatures, and they're big inspiration for us at the Marsh Project. And I think bringing the community out here today is important for them to see how much trash is out here and what they can do in a matter of an hour, but also just to be surrounded by nature.
For generations, the marshes shaped Charleston's story. If protecting places like the Canhoy Peninsula matters to you, stay engaged, sign the petition, contact your local representatives, or volunteer for cleanup. The future of Charleston's marshlands rests with us.